Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is, 6:34. I hate being late. Sorry about our tardiness. We had a discussion and it took a little longer than we anticipated. Will you please join me, stand as we have a moment of silence as we honor the men and women who have given the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Thank you for that. Now please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this amazing night in Canyon Lake. Thank you that we get to do just this, Lord, and that is look at our amazing city and try to make it an even better place to live. This weekend, Lord, we get to honor our veterans. Let us keep that in mind and let us be so appreciative for all the amazing things and, being able to live in this country and support them in all that we do. And in your name, amen. Will we have our city attorney, please, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Madam Clerk, we do need a roll call.
Councilmember Castillo?
Here.
Councilmember Dane?
Here.
Councilmember Terry?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Welty?
Here.
Mayor Smith?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Closed session report. Mr. City Attorney, you got anything for us?
I do not
Cool.
have anything to report.
Are you sure?
I do.
You positive?
Positive.
All right. Moving on, ceremonial matters. Do we have Perry in the house? Yes, he's right here in front. So who here knows Perry? Show of hands. There we go. There we go. Perry is my hero because he helps put on what I think is the best car show in Riverside County, California, the United States, the Canyon Lake Car Show. And the best thing about Perry is every year he says he's not going to do it again. And every year his wife kicks him under the table and says, honey, we're doing it again. We're going to help out. It's the other way. I apologize. And this amazing couple, in my opinion, this is an easy Citizen of the Month, and they were our Citizen of the Month last month during the car show. They were smart folks, though. They went on a cruise, I think, right after the car show. They got away from it all. And if anyone knows putting on an event, whether it's a golf tournament or any big function, dealing with that many bodies and those many conversations, it's very hard to do. So our Citizen of the Month for last month is Perry. I'm excited to give this to you, my friend. The council appreciates you. Give him a round of applause, please. I gotta give you a mic first. Oh, well, I gotta say something. You have to.
All right. Well, I'm honored to have this award. I really appreciate it. There's no place on earth I'd rather live than Canyon Lake, and anything I can do to help with my fellow Canyon Lakers, I'm there for you. Just let me know. I appreciate the kind comments from the mayor. And this is for you, sir. This is an application to join my car club. So maybe you can help me next year do the car show. All right, well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. On behalf of the council, appreciate you, man. Seriously, thank you so much. All right, Councilmember Terry, you're next. I think we got our Citizens of the Month, right? This month? Here you go. You want to use this? We have two of them. We have two of them. Do it. This is a good one, too.
How many people here are Eagle Scouts? We got 2,
Yes.
3, 4. Very good. I'm an Eagle Scout. It is my honor to introduce you to Zane and Zach Zander.
Woo! I think they're related, Councilmember Terry.
They might be brothers.
They might be, just a little bit.
Little resemblance. So, how long did it take you to get your Eagle?
It took me about 6 years to get an Eagle.
Very good.
Yeah, roughly around the same, like 5 years. Yeah.
Excellent. And what did you do for your project?
I made a pickleball warm-up court in Canyon Lake for everyone to use.
You better have a good one because people here love pickleball.
Mine is also at the pickleball courts. I basically installed 2 gates to access the middle area easier when the ball goes over the fence, and then I added the bag rails so people could hang their bags.
You know what I love about that? It's very thoughtful to our community and what our community really loves to do. Pickleball is very, very popular, and so congratulations. Those are great projects to do. On behalf of the City Council, we could not be more proud of you. And we hope that you take this. You know, the one thing about being an Eagle Scout is once you're an Eagle Scout, you're always an Eagle Scout. So you could be an old fart just like me and still be an Eagle Scout. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, picture real quick. You're up. It's off. You just gotta turn it up. Good job, guys. Congratulations. Way to go. All right, next we have our Student of the Month. Councilwoman Dane is going to be leading us in that. It works. Yeah, there you go.
Hello.
Perfect.
All right. I'm going to call it Jenna Hoffman, Summer Scott, and Serafina Smith. Let's put one. Jenna. So, if you've been to these meetings before, you know that I love the Student of the Month program that Lake Elsinore does. And I always love to be at those awards. Very inspiring for the students. I always think I could have done a lot more if I applied myself like they did. But just a great program. And I just have a couple notes about the students. I'm going to start with Jenna. So Jenna is at Elsinore High School. She was Student of the Month in September, okay. And she's a 4.46 GPA, the top 25 of her school. ASB 2 years, is the managing editor in Yearbook, Earth Club president, and CSF NHS historian. She's played club volleyball for 6 years. She also is a kids water polo coach for Elsinore Aquatics, 3-sport varsity athlete, volleyball, water polo, and swim. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm going to let you say what your goals are for the future. But fun fact about Jenna, you don't have the whole future. She's always loved school, learning, and reading. And when she was in elementary school, she almost ran into a wall once because she was reading while walking down the hallway. She couldn't put the book down. And one other thing that we learned during the Student of the Month when she was presented with her award, her math teacher said, and I love this, she's the happiest student who is always excited to learn. And I think that's a great quality. So, you want to tell us what you plan to do for college?
Do I start now? Or sure. Sorry. I want to go to a 4-year university. My dream school is UC San Diego. I want to major in biology, and then I want to later go into pre-med and become a maybe pediatrician, maybe what is it called? A pharmacist. Oh my God, sorry. Yeah. But yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you. Next, we have Summer Scott. Summer was student of the month last month, so October, from Keith McCarty Academy. She's a varsity cheerleader and varsity stunt athlete at Temescal Canyon. She's part of the superintendent student advisory team at KMA. I'm also going to let you say what you plan to do. And she loves to travel, and she hopes to travel after high school. So you want to tell us what you want to do for college?
I plan on going straight to a 4-year university to major in childhood education and become an elementary school teacher.
And last but not least, we have Serafina Smith, also a Student of the Month for October from Temescal Canyon. She participates in her school's leadership program and is the Director of Academic Support for all freshmen on campus, so helping everybody as they're starting. The Director of Events for the International Baccalaureate Program, and is also in the school's National Honor Society, where she acts as secretary. Congratulations, Serafina, and you want to tell us what you're planning on doing?
Thank you. Immediately after high school, I plan on attending a four-year university where I plan to major in cognitive neuroscience so I can further the research of the brain and the knowledge that we have on it.
So, really proud of all of our Students of the Month. Love when we have Canyon Lakers in this huge school district of 22,000 kids, I think. Is that close? So let's give them one more round of applause. We've got a certificate and a little gift for you.
And the mic drops. That was well done. I was kind of hoping it would drop. You done?
A literal mic drop.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for.
So, do we want to take a picture?
Let's give them a round of applause. That's incredible.
They have a little gift.
Just gotta turn it on. Thank you. Good job, everyone. All right, Councilwoman Casey Castillo has a certificate of recognition to present as well.
I'm so excited. Kaylin Block, please come forward. I'm going to give you a hug because when I tell the story, I get chills every time. So, Kaylin Block is a Canyon Lake resident. I'm going to have Dr. Vanderpool come up too, trustee for Lake Elsinore School District. Kaylin is a paraeducator at Temescal Canyon High School. On October 6th, while leaving work, she witnessed a driver crash into a fence in the school pickup. Is that right? She recognized the driver was suffering from a medical emergency. She immediately attempted to enter the vehicle to assist the driver, and when she found that the doors were locked, she ran to her car, grabbed a glass punch, and broke a window out to gain access to the driver, injuring her arms and hands in the process. I saw how scraped up you were that day. Ignoring your injuries, you assisted the driver while waiting for medical personnel to arrive, and they transported the driver to the hospital. If it was not for your quick thinking, your attention to detail, the ability to even remember you had that tool, I would have totally forgot that I didn't even own that. Run to your car. The driver, other motorists, other students would have gravely been impacted for your just amazingness and willingness to act. We commend you. You're prepared. These are exactly the type of people we want working at our high schools. And for that reason, the City Council wants to recognize your outstanding bravery and swift action. Your immediate response to the medical emergency displayed remarkable courage, dedication to the safety of others. Your heroic actions, commitment to the safety of those around you, and readiness to respond to emergencies make you a shining example of a responsible and caring individual, and exactly the type of people we are proud of in Canyon Lake. You are amazing. Dr. Vanderpool, did you want to say something?
So I also want to bring up your principal, Josh Hill of Temescal Canyon High School. We brought some other special guests for you. Dr. Kip Meyer is our Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services. And then Director Scott Merrill is our Director of School Safety. And so people like you. So I'm also speaking as your school board trustee, but also a mom of a Temescal Canyon student, that thank you for all you do to serve our kids. We need more people like you. The world needs more people like you. And thank you for all that you do. Mr. Hill, do you want to say something?
Kaylin's new to us this year. Started with us as a paraeducator. And what's funny about the situation is, as I was talking to her after the event happened, what struck me most was that she was saying, I was just on my way to get my kids from Tuscany Hills, and I was just thinking, like, this is what our parents are like. This is the kind of thing that they do. They set aside their own interests, their own needs to focus on the issue, the problem in front of them. And again, knowing, like Dr. Vanderpool said, that she's there with our kids every day with that kind of focus and that kind of dedication. It's what makes our schools great. It's what makes our community great. So thank you, Kaylin, for working with us, and very excited to see the other brave, heroic acts that go unnoticed that you do every single day.
And tomorrow night at our school board meeting, which everyone's invited to, we are also recognizing you as one of our employees of the month. So thank you.
Want to say anything? There you go. You want to take a picture? Okay. Okay. Oh, yes. Sorry.
Over there first. Okay, over here now.
Okay. And then now look at that. Thank you. Yay, congrats.
Right. So that was good. Okay, moving on. Wow, pretty incredible story. Moving on to community reports. I don't know how you're going to follow this one, but our water board director's in the house, Darcy Burke. Come on up.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. I'm going to follow it with sewer rate increases.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
You just lost half the
everybody,
crowd.
Right.
That's why the Eagle Scouts are out of here.
Right, leaving.
Boom.
That is a very difficult item to follow up, to say the least. Tomorrow night, our board will be considering Prop 28, actually 4 hearings, 2 Prop 218 rate increases, one for sewer rates and the other one for a water shortage contingency fee, which will coordinate with our urban water management plan. This is exciting stuff. I live for urban water management plans and integrated resources planning. The impact to our community on a typical family of 4 is about $5 per household per month, and that is due to a number of things, including energy rate increases, chemicals, all of the things that were in your Prop 218 notice. The process is pretty simple. You have an opportunity to send a letter of protest. You can show up and give public comment. The meeting starts at 4 o'clock. The items will be sequentially heard. You can talk about anything you want. The other 2 things will be actually an ordinance, which will align the drought stages with our urban water management plan, and then also the penalty fees that we are mandated by law to enact. We typically don't enact them unless it's dire straits, but we have to have them on the books. So those are the 4 things. I wanted to thank you, Mayor, for coming to Phil Williams' event, and Councilwoman Dane. It was very touching to have actually the city council show up for actually in Elsinore Valley, and city manager. When you look at the history, that wasn't something that was going to happen a long time ago. Phil Williams actually started his married life as a Canyon Lake resident. It was probably, he said, the worst experience of his life, and moved out as soon as he could. He was very young, and he was working, and his neighbors were not as young. They were more seasoned and did not appreciate his work pickup parked in the driveway, so it was a daily situation. I did let him know that it had changed and evolved, and he was very welcoming. But I think he would have appreciated the event, and now when you drive by our office, you see his name on the outside of the building. There's also a plaque that has his image, a bronze image on the side. We have started our expansion of our wastewater plant. We are 90% done with our Canyon Lake Water Treatment Plant design. So now we go through the constructionability process where we have an outside firm look to see if we can actually build it and what the real costs are. I'm estimating it probably is going to go up again because nothing that I know of has gotten less expensive. We are also in the process of exploring what other treatment process we're going to have to employ for PFAS removal on our wells, different well fields throughout the system, which again will be, I hate to say, more money. Over the next 6 years, we're looking at $600 million worth of capital improvement projects, which is significant. And I think that's would be the largest in this region by far. The other thing I want to talk about is growth. We're obviously the fastest growing region in the state, and we are working with our partners, Rancho California Water, Western Municipal Water District, and Eastern, of how we're going to meet the water demands in the future. So we had a meeting today and looking at long-term projects because nothing gets built quickly here or inexpensively. I think that's all I have. Thank you for the coffee this
Thank you.
morning, Mayor, and for those that joined us. I will not be here next month. I will be at the Colorado River Water Users Conference, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for our director? Nope, we're good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry I cleaned out your room.
No, you're good. You're good. All right, next we have our Canyon Lake Property Owners Association President, Bill Van Vliet. And before you speak, I said this morning at our coffee. We do this thing once a month called Coffee with the Mayor. And I know that we have Director Jeff Bill in the audience too, and I just want to say thank you to the two of you. I will say this on record, the relationship between the city and the POA is phenomenal, and it's because of your leadership at that board that allows us to keep pushing the city in, I believe, the right direction. So I just want to say thank you for all your hard work before you give your report.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. You are too kind. And you know what? I want to commend all of you because as just a resident coming in here and listening to the achievements of these young people, the Eagle Scouts, the Students of the Month, gives me a lot of hope for the future. And I am so impressed by what you've done and what you're doing and the dreams that you have for the future. And I think, I commend you guys for recognizing that and rewarding that overall. So it's just a great thing for our community. How many people were at the POA meeting last night? 3, good. There were a few more, not as many as in this. One of the things we did, we haven't done this in probably a couple of years, is we are now, as of this month, we had our community patrol, Allied Universal, come up and give their statistics. So we're taking a page from what the city's been doing with the sheriff, and they're going over the statistics on what's going on with community patrol. And they're going to continue to do that on a monthly basis to give us more insight and allow some interaction with our community members. So that's great. We made an announcement. You saw the Eagle Scouts did some great things for the pickleball courts. Well, the POA just completed an expansion of that facility. We've added 2 more pickleball courts, and on next Thursday, a week from today, we will be doing a ribbon cutting ceremony. So anyone who would like to come down, you're welcome to come down and join us for the ribbon cutting ceremony on that. The same day, about an hour and a half later, we will also be kicking off our Neighborhood Watch program pilot that's on Big Range Road. And so, again, if anyone wants to show up for that, we'd encourage you to do that. At the meeting last night, we always have a lot of business to go over. The main topic of discussion and what drew most of the attention is you may know that we have a prohibition of using motorcycles in our community. It's in our CC&R documents that were established 50 some odd years ago, and we have a prohibition of having motorcycles in the area. So as a result, the POA does have a parking lot where they can do it, but there's been some theft over the recent years and months and so forth. And so one of the proposals that was put forward was let's create a secure facility for those motorcycles, which would include a building and cameras and lights and a gate and access. And so we got good feedback from the community. There were some people that were in favor of it. There were some people that were not in favor of it. But the objective of the proposal was to engage the community and get feedback. And so we got good feedback. Rather than deciding on what we were going to do specifically or on making on that specific proposal, we elected to table it, send it back to one of our committees to engage with the users of the motorcycle community and have co-opt them and having them create another solution, a better solution for us. Other than that, it was mainly a lot of business that we went through. But I do want to say the big event this month for us, all of us as families, is Thanksgiving. And I just like you, Mayor Smith. We are very grateful. We've established over the course of a year a very good relationship with the city. And again, it's leadership from all of you. And certainly I want to thank all of you for your leadership and participation, because it takes two, right, to create and working well as partners. And so I want to say thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Any questions for me?
Any questions for the POA? Good? Awesome, thank you. Appreciate you so much. All right, next we have our Canyon Lake Chamber of Commerce President, John Grande. John, you killed it at the State of the City doing your installation. We appreciate you. Thank you. I know he's Santa Clausing it up right now.
Well, yeah. Well, the idea was I was going to be Kenny Rogers for Halloween. That didn't quite grow out fast enough for that. So I heard that it's No Shave November. So I figured I don't know what that means, but I think not shaving has something to do with it. So
yeah, so you're trying it out.
Yeah, I'll try it out, and maybe I'll look like Santa by the end of the month. To your point, State of the City, congratulations, City. By the way, thank you for having me here, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city staff, and fine citizens of Canyon Lake. Yeah, you guys really nailed it. We're thrilled to be a part of it. One of the exciting moments for us, besides installing our officers for next year, was a new award. Our Ambassador of the Year award went out to Nathan Streeter, who's really just his commitment to representing and volunteering for the chamber inspired us to create this award for him. So we're thrilled to provide effort for him. On the same day, we had I think it was the same day. Well, it was our last, our most recent business roundtable event. We had the honor of having Fire Chief Jeff Latendresse present and discuss the up-and-coming fire inspection program, which I think is going to be a great benefit for the businesses, the safety of the businesses here in the community. And good news, it's very inexpensive, and I think something that's inexpensive, I think some of the fees are as low as like $50 or $80, something like that. To save lives and save businesses is a great thing. Our next upcoming events, next Monday, 6 p.m. at Sports Stop, will be our quarterly Women in Business event. I will not be there. However, counting on some of the women business owners and managers and directors to attend. From what I understand, it's a great event. It's, again, I've never been a fly on the wall, but that's next Monday, Sports Stop, 6 p.m. And our next business roundtable event will be at the Country Club, 7:15 a.m. on the 6th of December. We promised to have everyone out by 8:30. Our presenter will be City Manager Nicole Daly.
Perfect.
And last but not least, I always love to take this opportunity to announce our Business of the Month. And glancing around the room, the owner is here, so it makes it even more exciting. So Harcourt's Prime Properties, did I pronounce that right? Provides a very unique approach to real estate. In addition, the owner, Donna Thibodeau, owns a couple of businesses. A lot of us know the magazine, that Neighbor magazine that we receive in the mail. But it's not only a great business, but we've noticed that Donna in Harcourt's has been a great support of the chamber. In fact, they even had a team put together for a Battle of the Businesses a couple months ago.
Nice.
Like my team, she didn't win, but we all had a lot of fun, and we appreciate everyone's support. So congratulations, Donna.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Any questions?
Any questions for the chamber? Nope.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate you. All right, moving on to our public safety updates. We're going to take it off with Ruby, Code Enforcement.
Good morning. Good evening.
It's okay, it's been a long day. We can go back in time, though.
Council members, staff. All right, so my report for the month of October, we had 2 unpermitted construction violations, 1 MPDS violation, we had 1 lack of property maintenance, 1 foreclosed registration, and 1 noise complaint. BLM, it's been pretty quiet. We issued no citations there and only had 2 verbal warnings. And then down to our abandoned vehicles and operable vehicles, we issued 5 notices of violations for that. 1 short-term rental was found, and a notice of violation was issued for that. Down to our residential rental registrations, we actually found 6 unregistered property rentals. All but one have complied. We have a total of 330 rentals registered. Of those, 302 rentals are current and active. We have 28 pending renewals. 10 inspections were conducted for the month of October. And then down to our business license, we have 1,145 current. For the month of October, we had 4 new commercial business registrations, 4 home occupations, 9 out of cities, and 1 renewal. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Ruby? The 1,145, is that combined with the rental?
Yes.
Because I know that each, is it separate?
That's separate.
Okay. Cool. How has the response been with the newfound landlord properties? I know that you indicated you found 5 additional properties. 4 have been responsive and 1 have not. How's that been?
We found 6,
6.
and 5 out of those have complied. So they
Okay.
came in, they registered, they're doing everything. We're just having an issue with one of them.
Okay, is that one becoming an issue based upon complaints from residents or just not responding?
No, it's just not responsive.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Appreciate you.
All right,
Thank you so much. Okay, Lieutenant Edwards, Riverside Sheriff's Department. Or Captain Rails. What are you doing here, man?
I'm here. He's off for the night, so.
Good, it's good seeing
He's
you.
taking a long weekend, so it's my pleasure.
Thanks
to be
for
here.
making it out. Is Wildemar pissed? Isn't this when we have the same?
Same time, but I switch around.
Thank
I
you.
move around.
Thank you.
I have a lieutenant there.
We have water and boats and fun stuff, so thanks for joining us, Captain. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and city staff. Citizens of Canyon Lake, those that don't know me, I'm Captain Jim Rails. I was a lieutenant representing you for a couple of years, but I took over the Lake Elsinore station, so I kind of handle everything. So I make it from time to time, but not here every month now. As you see, I do not have stats at the back of the room tonight. The reason being is we decided to change things up a little bit, and we are going to start doing stats every quarter. And how that came about is myself, Lieutenant Edwards, City Manager Nicole Daly, Councilwoman Castillo, and your mayor sat down, and we talked a lot of public safety issues, but it was brought up about the statistics and how they're kind of misleading when you do them every month, because at the end of the year, we submit a report, and the report at the end of the year, your crimes that are, your Part 1 crimes that are submitted to the FBI every year are a lot less at the end of the year. And the reason being is, let's say a deputy responds out to a sexual assault. That deputy takes the statements, writes a report. That sexual assault report goes to an investigator who has to investigate it. Well, that's getting statted on our monthly reports, and it's not necessarily a sex crime that occurred. Sometimes they're unfounded, sometimes it's something different, and that's not statted to the FBI. So it's looking like your stats are higher than what they are, which is very misleading.
Right.
So what we decided as a group is, and we do this at most cities, we do quarterly reports. And what we're going to do quarterly, it'll be a more extensive report with a PowerPoint presentation. We'll compare it to last year's stats. And then you'll get a comparison all 3 months, plus last year on your response times and things of that nature. And you'll get a better reading of actually what's going on in Canyon Lake. So we're still going to come up every month, and Lieutenant Edwards is still going to kind of give a report and tell you what's going on and what's happening and what we're going to be doing in the future. But I just wanted to bring that up, and before I move on, if there's any questions with that.
Casey, would you like to make any comments on that?
No.
Any questions? I'll just say thank you so much, Captain. Our meeting last week was very helpful. Councilman Casey Castillo and I had several questions, as you had mentioned, and I think the plan of attack is perfect. And to find out that most municipalities are doing it this way anyways, and it is concerning when we're up here trying to ask you questions on things that haven't been completely yet. So we get that question sometimes while we're literally up here on the dais. Folks ask us questions about crime that's occurring, and you're helping us with that. So I just want to say thank you.
No problem. And I'll move on from there. A lot of what we talked about in the meeting was all the issues on Railroad Canyon with the speeders, the traffic collisions that we've had. A few years back, we had quite a few fatal collisions and those with major injuries. We haven't had too many lately, but we have had them in golf carts and other issues going on. So last year, we put in for a grant our traffic unit did with the Office of Traffic and Safety here in California. And I think we had already told you, but not the citizen, we were awarded a pretty large amount of grant for, the city of Canyon Lake was. And we're able to use that grant for DUI enforcement, saturation patrols, and some education. So we're looking at dates right now. I've almost got it completed, but those dates will be to you. They won't go out to the community until a press release right before.
Right.
But we're going to be doing at least one, maybe two hard DUI enforcement operations with the checkpoint on Railroad Canyon. We're just working out the logistics with that. But we decided to not do more than one or two because we would like to do more of a saturation patrol, which we can saturate the whole entire community with deputies. And it's not just DUIs. There'll be all kinds of citations being issued for lots of different things. So the focus will be Railroad Canyon, but we can also move and do saturation throughout the community. So we're going to at least do 6.
Perfect.
Is what we're looking at right now.
Awesome.
The funding will do 6 for the year.
Wow.
And that'll probably start up right around December.
Okay.
So we can get in at the holidays.
Perfect.
And I'll give you those dates. So that's one good thing.
Any questions so far?
Just have a comment. I thought it was great when you flooded Railroad Canyon all the way through to Hemet, all the way from Elsinore. It was, you're going down the street and you see 6 cars pulled over as you make the journey. I think that's a huge message. As most people know, a lot of our deaths are on Railroad Canyon. And the people go fast and they don't pay attention. So I thought when you flooded the zone, so to speak, that was pretty incredible.
Yes, and more of that is going to happen. We have what's called Coffee with the Commanders every quarter, sometimes every month when we can. And we meet with all the commanders and chiefs of police and captains throughout the area. And that was brought up at the meeting. And now CHP wants to be involved. So it's going to be Hemet Police Department, Menifee Police Department, Sheriff's Department from Lake Elsinore and Canyon Lake, and CHP wants to get involved because they want to kind of catch some from the outer areas and help out. So we'll be doing more of those throughout the year. Those were very effective. But it's like a freeway from Hemet, Dominigoni, all the way through Railroad Canyon to the freeway.
Crazy.
So I drive that every morning now, and I have cars passing me at 90 miles an hour.
It's nuts.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely an issue, and hopefully with these extra funds, and we've talked about some additional funding too for doing some other enforcement on Railroad Canyon. So more to come on that.
Love it.
We'll be dealing with it.
Any questions for the captain? Thank you, Captain, for being here.
No
Appreciate you.
problem. Glad to be here.
All right. Chief Latendrous, I'm not supposed to say anything, but it is your birthday. Happy birthday, Chief. Chief specifically told someone on our staff, do not let the mayor say anything about my birthday. And happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chief Latendrous. Happy birthday to you. See, doesn't it feel good to turn 39? Isn't that a great thing?
It
feels good.
I'm sad that I look so bad for 39. That's the problem.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, everyone. Jeff Latendrous, your fire chief, and I'm here to present our monthly report for the month of October. So during October, we had 86 emergency responses, so a little bit busier than we were last month, but still not our busiest month thus far. Of those 86 responses, we had 1 fire, we had 62 medical incidents, we had 10 service calls, we had 12 good intent, and we had 1 false alarm to give us our 86 responses. Our 1 fire call, actually it was kind of a unique situation. Our engine 1 had been dispatched into the city of Lake Elsinore for a fire alarm call. While they were clearing that, they were in the area of Walmart off of the 74, and they got another response as they were returning back to the city for a vegetation response over behind Costco off of Walnut. They were a minute or 2 away. They were the first on scene. Our captain off the engine, Captain Brennan, became the incident commander. Our firefighters off there initiated the fire attack, protecting the exposures. It turned out to be there were about 7 fires out there. It was a large response from from CAL FIRE Riverside County, but our guys did a tremendous job. They were complimented by the CAL FIRE battalion chief that was on scene, who is a Canyon Lake resident. And actually, he came over to the station the next day and talked about the fire and debriefed it with the guys. So it was really a very positive experience for our personnel.
Very good.
Incidents by time of day, still pretty consistent. The morning hours and early afternoon were a little bit slower. Then after lunch, we start to pick it up. We had a plateau there, which is kind of interesting this month, where everything leveled out, and then the evening hours, again, they slow down. What's just important for when we look at this, we analyze it, and we try to conduct our activities that are going to possibly delay our responses or training in the morning so that they're more available for those responses in the afternoon. Where do the calls happen? Well, it's still pretty standard. Our single-family homes are our most prevalent place. But again, even this month, we had 2 incidents that occurred at the fire station where people are coming into the fire station. It's kind of ironic. This morning, we got a phone call to the fire station, and someone smelt smoke inside their house. And instead of calling 911, we called the fire station directly. So again, we encourage that 911 telephone to be utilized, and we are going to still be working on a public education program for that. Our average response times for the month of October, for turnout time, it was 56 seconds, so just a little bit over what we were last month. Our travel time was 5 minutes 48 seconds, and our total response times was 6 minutes and 34 seconds. There was an increase in that, but again, we can't control where the incident is, where we are, so travel time and total response time are something we are out of our control, but we do weekly give reports to the captains on how they're doing on their turnout times. Our 90% fractile time, and this is the one that we think is more important for our turnout time. We averaged 1 minute 27 seconds. For our travel time, 7 minutes and 45 seconds. And for our total response time is 8 minutes 32 seconds. And again, 90% of the time we're achieving this, not just 50%. Where do the calls occur inside the city? Well, there's a spattering of the calls. And so you can see this month it was pretty diverse throughout the entire community. Automatic and mutual aid given, we responded 15 times into incidents outside of our jurisdiction into the following communities or zip code areas: 11 in Lake Elsinore, 3 in Menifee, and 1 in Paris. So far this year, we've responded 149 times, 116 into Lake Elsinore, 17 in Menifee, 5 in Good Hope, 3 Wildomar, 2 Paris, and then 6 throughout the county as we were doing special assignments. This is a new slide that I put in this month, and what this shows is the automatic and mutual aid responses just for the month. So you can see where we're going instead of the entire year. Here's a snapshot of where those 15 were. And what I did, instead of using the zip codes that we get off of them, was we looked at the map and where they were, and it's a more accurate reflection. So looking at it this way, there were 6 in Lake Elsinore, 4 in Meadowbrook, 3 in Menifee, 2 of those were in Quail Valley, and then 2 in Good Hope. And you can see that 1 in Good Hope is pretty far out there.
Yeah. Way out there. I'll put it on the map.
And then here's a map showing everything that we have done year to date. And again, in the Canyon Hills area and Meadowbrook area, there are about 60 calls just in that area that we go to. So as we talk about annexation, sometimes that's an area that is a busy area for us. And we're not necessarily the first engine there. We're kind of, if CAL FIRE is not available, we back them up. So the number in that area is a lot higher. CAL FIRE, on the other hand, responded into Canyon Lake 1 time this month. So far this year, CAL FIRE has responded to 80 incidents inside the city. I know that question gets asked a lot. Is it reciprocal? Is it fair? Again, these numbers represent incidents. And on November 1st, we had a small fire on Strawberry Lane. And on that one incident, CAL FIRE sent us 4 units. So we have to think about it from that perspective and realize that while the incidents may be offset, the number of units that we're getting is equal to what we're getting, and I'm very comfortable with the agreement that we have in place.
Good.
And then this is just a detailed map of where County Fire has responded to help us out when we were committed or when it was a multi-unit response. Training, our motto this month was each new day is an opportunity to improve yourself, take it, and make the most of it. So our A shift had 27 hours of training, our B shift 28, and our C shift had 31 hours. And again, all crews are approaching 1,000 hours so far this year. Our focus this month was on self-contained breathing apparatus and personal protective equipment. We now have 2 of our 3 shifts that have attended live fire training at the Ben Clark Training Center at March. We did company hose evolutions on fire attack. We did simulations on mobile home fires, company operations on water supply. And you see there in the picture, we've got our Type 6 patrol, and we're actually drafting water out of the lake and putting it right back into the lake. And then we also did company operations on ladders. Busy month for community events, public outreach. We participated in the Canyon Lake Car Show, Rocktoberfest. It was Fire Prevention Week, so we went to the library and did story time with the kids, gave them a nice tour of the fire engine. We went to Canyon Hills Community Church twice and interacted with the kids, read them a book, brought them out to the fire station. We were at the Parade of Frights. We were at the State of the City. We're at the Senior Center Boutique. And again, we were wearing our peak t-shirts in support of breast cancer awareness. And I believe the Fire Association, we missed them last month, but gave a nice check to the Susan B. Karen Foundation for Cancer. I would like to talk about one significant incident that made social media a little bit. It occurred on October 13th. It was a single vehicle golf cart accident. And this is the factual information of what transpired on that. The 911 call was transferred from Riverside County Sheriff to the Paris ECC Emergency Command Center, which dispatches us and all CAL FIRE units at 15:09:32. At 15:10:20, Engine 1, County Engine 5, and I was dispatched to the incident. At 15:11:26, Engine 1 was en route. At 15:12:35, County Engine 5 was en route. At 15:12:55, I was en route. At 15:16:05, Engine 1 arrived on scene. At 15:16:39, I arrived on scene. And then at 15:17:35, we had sufficient resources to handle the care of the patient. And at 15:27:53, the patient had been loaded and was en route to Inland Valley Hospital. So what does that mean as we just talked about our turnout time? We had a turnout time of 1 minute, 6 seconds, a travel time of 4 minutes, 39 seconds, and a total response time of 5 minutes and 45 seconds. We got the patient off scene in 11 minutes and 48 seconds. So I think it was a good job by our crew. They did an outstanding job, and I'm proud of what they did. So that concludes my presentation for the month of October. I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Leave him alone, it's his birthday.
So the 21 minutes I read about on social media was not accurate?
That is not correct, no.
Thank you, Chief, for clarifying and bringing up that information. It's very helpful, and you know, for us, it's difficult sometimes in a state of panic when things are happening and trying to handle some of the concerns and issues, but we appreciate you doing a deep dive on that particular incident.
Thank you.
Any questions for the Chief?
Just have a comment, and the Chief and I were totally entertained and educated at the emergency preparedness meeting. I've never been to a meeting like that in my life. The adrenaline pumped up in the first 20 seconds, and it stayed that way for the first literally hour. It was on electrical safety, and a couple of our audience attendees were brave enough to go out and take some shocks. We saw lightning fly, we saw sparks, we smelled fire, we were totally engaged, and the Chief was there, and it was really amazing. Thanks to emergency preparedness for that. A couple of things I learned that were very important is if you ever have to turn off a breaker, turn your head away. Don't be watching it, because if it does spark, it could come out and get you in the face. So turn. If you ever feel something is full of electricity, hit it with your backhand. If you grab it, your muscles will lock on it. If you hit it with the backhand, at least it'll blow your hand off the element. And the other is if you're ever in a car by a down power line, stay in the car till you get help. Is that pretty much what we learned?
Yeah, how far do you have to be away if there's a down electrical wire where that energy will travel to you.
Oh, he's quizzing me. Oh, my God. That 30 feet.
30 feet.
30 feet, and it's a lot of electricity, and so be very careful. Wait till emergency. Don't run into those situations. Wait for the emergency officials to come and help you out, because it's not simple.
And I was so impressed with it, I brought it back to Chief Samuels. We talked about it. We're reaching out to the vendor who provides that service free to firefighters, and we're going to get all of our firefighters trained from them on both electricity and solar panels. So it was very, thanks to Nate, our president of the Emergency Preparedness Committee, for bringing that group in. It was very informative, and we're trying to share it with everybody now.
That's so awesome. Good update. Anything else for the chief? Happy birthday.
Thank you, everyone.
Don't hate me. All right, with that, we have committee and council reports. We're going to, since you're talking a lot, Mayor Pro Tem, we're going to kick it off with you.
Community reports, okay. I did talk about the emergency preparedness meeting I attended. I think we all got that. I also attended SCAG, and in that we talked about funding that's...
Hold on, sorry, I skipped something. Public comments. Thank you,
Thank you,
Madam
Mayor.
Clerk.
We have two
Sorry.
speakers tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's take up public comments. I could do it the other way, but let's take up public comments first.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We have two speakers tonight. Our first speaker is John Zeitz.
Okay. Mr. Zeitz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. On August 11th, I was at the Riverside Court for the lawsuit of Beck versus the City of Canyon Lake. I did not see any of you there, but why should I? You weren't spending the people's money, and there was no press to bolster your egos. What I heard was a decision made against the city regarding the UUT, that you're charging the UUT fee on water was unconstitutional. I heard your attorney attempting to either lie or mislead the court, and he said that 75% of the community wants the water to be taxed, even if it is unconstitutional. I would give $100 to any charity if you could show that the people had been told that water would be taxed, or that you had a choice in what or was not taxed. The city would have closed the fire station if the UUT had not passed in 2014. But even though it did pass, the city closed the station in 2015. In 2018, the city again passed the tax to keep the fire station open and have paramedics, people, and needed to vote the UUT as a forever tax. The community took the UUT ballot initiative the same as a contract of adhesion. It is what it is. The city established the EMS where everyone is opted in. That was also held unconstitutional in California. Does there seem to be a pattern to the city's activities? After the judge found that the water tax violated the Constitution in charging the tax, the city was less than transparent or deceitful by putting on today's consent agenda the hiring of attorneys in order to appeal the tax, knowing full well that the items on the consent agenda cannot be discussed. There is the option to pull the item, but I doubt that the city would be willing to pull the item. As we all know, we voted for the UUT for paramedics, and that was given the city $1 million a year, every year, but the city did not even use that excess of fees, a year, and but when the city did their excessive EMS fee, they did not consider any of the $1 million. Another lie or deceit was when the community is paying the UUT for paramedics and fire, and none of that money is going to fire or paramedics for the past 4 years. The city devised the EMS to cover the cost of the paramedics. It not only covers the cost of the paramedics, but more than that, the entire cost of the fire department. Another deceptive lie that was a representation in the propositions was that there would be independent audit of the UUT spending. There is an overall independent audit, but none of the UUT. They can't, because the funds go into the general fund and just
Thank you, Mr. Zeitz. Appreciate it. Time is up. Next.
Our next speaker is Jeanette Vanderpool.
Perfect.
Hello,
Hello.
everybody. Hello, Mayor Smith. Hello, council members. So nice to be here with you tonight. Before I get into school board business, I just want to say thank you to our fire department. As one of the people who actually was there with the golf cart incident and being one of the first responders, I was just not like you guys, but there's always a discrepancy by the time people get there versus the time I'm a data person, of when that actual call was made. And anytime you're in an emergency situation, it can always feel much longer. But I applaud you. Thank you as always. I respect all of you. So again, I am Trustee Vanderpool of Lake Elsinore Unified School Board. Thank you, all of you, for your collaboration and support for our students. So I serve all of Lake Elsinore, but specifically Area 2, which is Tuscany Hills, Canyon Hills, and the city of Canyon Lake. Next month will be marking my first year on the school board.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And we've done some amazing things. So some of our safety measures that we have put in place, we now have amazing video cameras at all of our middle schools with facial tracking systems. It's also a great deterrent for our students. So just so you kids know, you will get caught, so just don't do it. We also are able, in an emergency situation, being able to share that with our sheriff's department, and they can have access to that information as well. We just hired our director of school safety, the first one ever, and his collaboration between our RSOs and the sheriff's department really streamlines that communication, makes things efficient, and also the training that he's able to give our amazing security guards has just been unmatched. We also reorganized administrative positions. We added administrative positions. We brought in TOSAs. We brought back TOSAs, which are teachers on special assignments. And then I also wanted to remind parents that we are very transparent. Everybody has access to the curriculum that their students and their children are receiving. If you just simply go on the Canvas app, you can see everything that your student is learning. Two things that I'm very proud of that are having direct impact on our children is the Paper app, which we approved a couple months ago, which is 100% free to everybody. It's online tutoring with a real person, 24/7, grades 6 through 12, whether it's regular sixth grade math all the way to AP calculus, science, history, English, you name it. Teachers can also utilize it in class for small groups, but kids do have free tutoring, everybody. We also just implemented Free Learning Ally. It's specifically for children living with dyslexia, but it's for any child, whether you're having reading difficulties or not. But it has almost every single textbook and book that you can imagine. It's all online. It's read aloud in a real person's voice, which is a lot different than a lot of other reading apps. So you can hear the voice flexion and all that kind of stuff, different fonts, different sizes. Very proud of that. So Paper, 100% online free tutoring.
Don't hate me. I'm sorry. We're out of time.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
much more. Talk to you later.
In the future, please let us know, because it's awesome that we have our trustee coming to our meetings and giving us an update. We will make sure that we put you underneath the community report, so that way you're not limited to the 3 minutes public comments. Okay, with that, I do apologize, Mayor Pro Tem. I was not following my script, but luckily, Councilwoman Jennifer Jane kicked me under the table. Please continue.
Thank you. You do a great job over there. So things happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to report on my SCAG meeting. I went to the Southern California Association of Governments. It has a lot to do, this meeting, with funding from the federal government. They're starting to release some of that funding to help people, to encourage resiliency and to save energy. I'm on the Energy and Committee. So they're coming out with this Grid Resilience and Innovation Program. They're going to fund $10.5 billion. They're expanding kind of the entities, which is interesting, is they're going to utilities, state and local governments, for-profit entities, nonprofit entities, institutions of higher education, Public Utility Commission. So at least for the school my son goes to, I'm going to go have a discussion with the manager there, and so we're going to take a look, see if that funding is available, because they are widening out some of the solar funding for the school. So we maybe, as a city, maybe we can put panels on our fire station, but we will be looking into it. So that's coming from SCAG. We can go to the next slide, which is also for consumers. There's also additional tax benefits coming. Efficient appliances, they may be able to pay up to 30% of the cost. As we all know, we're a heat pump town, and not sure if that's for upgrades or for new, but anyway, it's available. So if your heat pump goes out, you might want to look into this to see if you can get some of the rebate. They'll do home improvements, efficiency upgrades like electrical panels and insulation, et cetera. They're doing some tax credits for solar panels and battery storage. and also for purchasing newer or used vehicles. So that's all coming available. So if any of you are in the market for any of those items as consumers, don't miss on the chance of getting some tax credits. Next slide. The second thing was rather interesting. It's a whole different topic. I talked to Chris about this today, and basically it has to do with forest management plan. And it's like, what does forest management plan have to do with the city? Well, the discussion basically is on canopies. We've kind of made a mistake in much of California. Is suddenly we decided years ago that palm trees were the answer. And the reality is palm trees provide very little shade. They do little about carbon input. I think we noticed that when we went to Holiday Harbor and we were putting in park equipment, and we had these wonderful little trees by the water that provide a lot of shade, but up by the park equipment where the kids are hanging, we had palm trees. And my statement at the time is we made a mistake by going to Orange County for someone to design that park. We should have gone to Palm Springs and had somebody from Palm Springs or Phoenix design the park. But there are a number of trees that we can put out that have a canopy, that can add shade to your yard. I've got my driveway lined up both sides, so I'm almost at the point where I can park my car in the driveway and it gets shade 80% of the time, so we're kind of aiming for that. But I've asked Chris to contact the Garden Club and get together with, he's possibly talked to UCR about putting together a list of trees that would serve as great canopy trees in our environment, a little warmer environment. So that was very interesting. I think we go to the next slide, which is kind of a picture. Okay, there they are. Well, there's our garden club, not really, but you can see the effort that that particular community is out there working with their, what do you call that stuff, Chris? The mulch, yes. So that's that. Is that the final slide? Okay, all right. One of the slides I thought we were going to see is basically, if anyone's been to Riverside, like old parts of Riverside, you basically are driving down the street and you've got trees kind of on both sides. And as you drive down the street, the sun's not really getting to you. You know, you're kind of under this canopy umbrella of shade as you drive down the street. And it's really a wonderful feeling. If you drive down a Canyon Lake Street, what you see is a lot of palm trees. Granted, they're beautiful, but again, they don't provide any shade. So we're kind of hoping we can initiate, working with our IRAN person possibly, putting together something to just encourage canopy trees in our town. That's my comments.
Thank you. Councilwoman Jennifer Dane.
I don't have nearly as much to say. Mine will be very short.
Where's your PowerPoint?
I don't have a PowerPoint.
Good job.
This Saturday is our Veterans Day event. Please join us at Holiday Harbor at 2 o'clock. We're going to have a lot of different events going on. If you're a veteran, please come. We have special things for veterans. We will have the flyover that we normally have during the presentation, but it'll be a really nice day. Look forward to seeing all of you there. Special happy birthday to the chief. Thank you to everyone who attended our State of the City. It was, I think, a really great event. The mayor did a great job, and just nice to see so many people there and hear so many comments about how much people enjoyed it. And then finally, Chief kind of beat me to it a little bit, but last month's meeting, the fire department had to run out to a call, but thank you to the Canyon Lake Firefighters Association for their donation to the Susan G. Komen fund that I walked for, so appreciate the donation.
So cool, great report. Councilwoman Casey Castillo.
Thank you. I wanted to say great Halloween in Canyon Lake. As a parent who drove around, it was nice to see. I didn't see anything crazy and feel like any of the community was misbehaving, and it's nice to hear that we don't have stats related to Halloween and that amount of traffic. I am very excited for Veterans Day. My son has his championship football game, so I now will not be in attendance, so I wish that you have a very successful Veterans Day. I was especially looking forward to hearing Mark Terry speak and Judge Mark Johnson from the Riverside Superior Court, who is our Veterans Court judge. So I do encourage the residents to go out and see that. Recently, we had our articulation meeting with the Lake Elsinore School District, and that was very exciting. Just the collaboration is phenomenal. Every time we have that meeting, I leave there energized and excited that my kid, my elementary kid, is in the Lake Elsinore School District, because I feel like things are progressing in a way that I'm very pleased with as a parent. So thank you for that, and thank you for including Canyon Lake in those discussions.
Awesome, thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Councilmember Mark Terry.
First of all, I'd like to say that I'd like to thank the city staff for an outstanding State of the City. Just beyond expectations. What a beautiful night. I think what the POA has done and that setting was terrific. I would also like to congratulate the mayor. In-N-Out turned out to be a really, really good idea. And I would like to tell the mayor that I've gone around and spoke to many of the people that attended, and especially those who have probably attended all of the State of Cities throughout the region. And I believe it when they say it, it was the best State of the City of the year. Again, I hope to see you all on Veterans Day. I should just start checking this stuff off because everyone mentions it. I would also like to say that in attendance tonight is Monica Lyons, and they have a program right now that's called Blankets for Pets. Is that correct? A blanket drive. And what you can do is you can take that blanket, donate it, and where does it go? Animal Friends, correct? Great. And you can drop off your blankets.
They have 5 blankets in their shelter right now. So tomorrow morning I will be taking 9 bags of blankets. So if anyone wants to donate, there are 3 locations in Canyon Lake. There's PZA, Frozen in Time, and then the Lions Den Spa. So they're in need for sure.
That's great. So we drop it off at Lions Den. We can drop it off at PZA. Just bring a blanket. What an awesome program. Good job. And as regards to committees, WRCOG, we met on Monday. What I love about WRCOG is our conservative approach to state government. Senate Bill SB 743, which was implemented in July of 2020, which is requires development projects to utilize what's called VMT, vehicle miles traveled, rather than the level of service, which it was previously, as a metric to determine its transportation impacts under the California Environmental Quality Act. It's quite confusing. It is a lot of fluff. It's the state doing things and then having no idea how to implement them. But WRCOG has also identified the complexity of it. There are 2 development projects right now in Riverside that have completely stopped because they do not have the means or the mitigation report back in order to proceed with that development project. Completely stopped, 2 of them. And the city of Riverside would like to see those completed. So what WRCOG has done is they have put together a program that they then will assist individual cities develop that program and submit that to the state as so it would not hold up your development, which there's a lot of things that go through WRCOG and you kind of shake your head, but I thought that the fact that they recognize that need. The other area that was discussed was the Inland Regional Energy Network, which is known as IREN. And basically what IREN does is, and specifically I want to talk about the fellowship, or fellow program. And only 12 cities are currently participating in that program, and Canyon Lake happens to be one of them. Is that correct?
Yes, we have a fellow, and that fellow, his name is Parker. He is here in the city for about 9 months to 12 months, and almost full-time, free of charge to the city to address energy initiatives.
And I'm very happy that we are taking advantage of that program. And other than that,
Awesome job.
that's it.
Okay, so a couple things. Thank you, everyone, for the State of the City. I know it's been said so many times, but we had some fun, didn't we? Those of you who are here that attended. I mean, a car show in and out. Come on, let's be real. I'm not being rude. If I happen to be staring at my phone a lot tonight, my wife is pregnant. We're gonna have a baby any minute. So she's, I'm constantly seeing. She's due any minute. So the due date's the 17th, but the doctor said it could happen this week. So I'm extremely focused on that. But I am fully engaged in our city council meeting, so much so that I do want to give my report. The first is that we hosted, I serve on RTA, Riverside Transportation Agency, and we hosted our monthly meeting here. It's called OT now, and it was actually really good. City manager was there. We had Wildemar, Menifee, and also Lake Elsinore. And in that discussion, the four cities came together, and we're going to start doing an ad hoc committee for public safety and start meeting as separate cities together and deal with the Railroad Canyon issues. So I thought that was very positive that we had local leaders here and willing to work on that. The other thing is that I serve on RCTC, and our executive director, and she's a phenomenal gal. She's been with the organization for 18 years. She just announced her retirement. And we just met this morning, actually, and the executive team met, and we're going to appoint her successor, which is this gentleman named Aaron. He's a phenomenal guy, and it's going to be in really good hands. So it's exciting to see some of the improvement that's happening over in RCTC with not having to go out to bid and spend a lot of money. So for those of you that care, RCTC is a great organization that gives updates for all of our traffic needs. You can go on their website and find out what roads are going to be closed. You can find out different projects that are taking place throughout Riverside County. It's a great resource to figure out your traffic commutes because it's a pain when you drive through Riverside to Orange County and to San Diego. With that, I want to give my report that I give every month, and that's my real estate update. Okay, in Canyon Lake, median price for our homes here are $659,000. It's a decrease, actually, of 16%, change from October of 2022. Average price in October of 2023, home on market, $875. The average square footage for your home here in Canyon Lake is $344. And the sales price ranged between $425 to $2 million. 4 homes were sold over $1 million. And I believe we only have about 29 homes on the market, so inventory is extremely low, but your home values are doing good in Canyon Lake. The last thing I want to say is this is most likely going to be my last meeting. We do the change in December, and I'll say some things in our December meeting, but I just want to thank my colleagues for giving me the opportunity to be the mayor the last couple years. It has been an honor of mine, and truly has been an amazing experience that I will never forget. So much so that my dad named a car out of it. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. Seriously, I appreciate you so much. It's been a phenomenal experience. With that, we're going to dive into our meeting. All right, consent calendar. Do we have anything to report? Any public comments? We're done with that? Nothing on this? I need a motion on the consent calendar unless we want to pull any items. You good?
Yep.
You sure?
Yes.
Anyone else? All right, I do need a motion in a second to adopt the consent calendar. I'll second it. I need a roll call vote.
Councilmember Dane? Excuse me, Councilmember Castillo?
Yes.
Councilmember Dane?
Aye.
Councilmember Terry?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Malti?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Perfect. All right, no pulled consent calendar items. Moving on, public hearing. Number 9, let's see here. Award professional service agreement to Animal Friends of the Valley, Incorporated for family control services, amenities to the Canyon Lake Municipal Code, Chapter 10-16, Animal Control Board fees. Let's see here. I'm going to open up the hearing. Let's see what time it is. 7:47. Got it? All right, presentation. This is going to be done by our own city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, this item is before you to consider an official updated professional services agreement with Animal Friends of the Valley. We haven't done a new agreement with them since 2014. It's been extended multiple times. Some minor changes were made to our professional services agreement, one of which is a cost of living adjustment of 2.5% or $87.50 per month. This increase, as we've seen with every single service in the world lately, the cost of living for everything has gone up, the cost of everything has gone up. But our partners with Animal Friends of the Valleys have not changed our cost to the city for more than 10 years. So this seemed like a very reasonable request to us based on just wage increases, for example, that we've been forced to make in California. So that is one of the changes that you'll see in the agreement. In addition, we've updated our scope of work to make sure it reflects all of the services that our community receives from animal control. We've included a suggested fee change to the boarding fees. So this is when an animal is taken to the shelter and is held by the shelter. Per day they are charged. Previously the fee was $20 per day. We're suggesting $20 per day. And again, this is at the advisement of AFV so that we can make sure we're in line with the true cost of that service, something that also has not changed for a very long time. AFV represents all of the cities in Southwest Riverside County, and this is a change that each of us will be making to try to make sure we're all in alignment on that fee. And finally, I just want to point out there is a minor change suggested to our animal control ordinance in regards to dogs running at large. And this change is associated with the idea that in Canyon Lake we do not have any sidewalks. Technically, dogs should be leashed or some way kept from running into the street. This is particularly important in Canyon Lake because there are no sidewalks. If a dog's out in the front yard, they're going to chase other dogs, they're going to chase people, they're going to chase kids, they're going to chase golf carts, there's e-bikes. There's a variety of things that are very tempting to an animal that's unleashed. That dog running into the street is a safety risk to whomever it's approaching, it's a safety risk to drivers and to the animal itself. So we've just clarified that essentially if an animal is not in a fenced premise, it must be tethered or leashed in some way. So that's my brief overview of the item that you're going to consider tonight, but I also have invited Mo Middleton from Animal Friends of the Valley, I think it's Chief Executive Officer, official term, she'll give you her title. But Mo's been a friend and a longtime employee of Animal Friends of the Valley. Now it's leader, and she is here today to share a little bit about the services that Animal Friends of the Valley provide to our community, but more importantly, some stats and the other information she can answer for all of you today. Thank you.
So before we begin, last week we had our State of the City, and we had a dog that just ran wild. And we needed you.
I heard all
This
about
this dog was intoxicated. It was drunk, running all over the place.
It wasn't me?
And we needed you.
No, I've actually heard about that dog from multiple people. I have a lot of friends that actually live in the
I don't think the dog was the problem.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go there.
Hey, you invited dogs.
Yeah.
I heard that too.
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know, yeah.
We're
You're
very
just
friendly.
supposed to be on a leash is all,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's it.
I do apologize for missing. I was in North Carolina visiting my son at the time and missed it. I heard again that you had In-N-Out there. My other son is a 15-year employee of In-N-Out, so it's one of my favorite things ever.
Love it.
I even said that's only, I gotta go. And car shows are my favorite. I got a 67 Ford Ranchero.
We can hang
sitting-
out.
Sitting in my garage right now. So, but anyway, sorry I missed that. But yes, my name is Mo Middleton. I have been with Animal Friends for almost 20 years now. I started out as an animal control officer. So again, your history I can come back and give you later. But do excuse my voice tonight. If I lose it, I will try sign language. I'm not good at it, but I'll try it. Again, we do have a little bit of a presentation. The presentation I'm going to go through very fast because it's more about the shelter, but I wanted this Canyon Lake to actually have this that you could post on your website or do things like that because it talks about some of our community programs that we have, things that we can offer the community such as spay and neuter vouchers and things like that. Okay, so we'll go through this kind of fast. Your stats I actually have for you, we'll go over this. It'll tell you how many calls we do inside your city. So I did a 2-month stat for you, okay? So we'll go through this. So. Again, this is going to be for all the cities together. So these are our intakes. Our intakes are actually down to about almost 9,000 from a high of almost 14,000 about 9 years ago. So the cities with spay and neuter programs, we're dropping that down. So again, I will let you guys go over these. I don't want to bore you with these stats. You guys can go over these and do them and look through them a little bit later too. This is where we want to talk about some of our programs here. Foster programs are super, super important. Those take the small animals, the puppies and the kittens, the mommies with the babies, takes them out of the shelter so that they can be taken care of into a private home. So foster program, we would really love to have some Canyon Lake foster programs to have some of the foster parents come in. Rescue program, again, we deal with over 1,000 rescues that we can support. We have over 200 that actively come into our shelter and take animals out of there. So we open this up to rescue. We do not limit on what they can take. If they come in, if the dog is available, we'd rather have that dog go with the rescue than set in the shelter. So we do that. Pet recovery, again, is a lost and found. We have a person that works on that. If someone calls in a lost and found, they will go through the shelter and see if they can find that. Again, volunteer program. Man, volunteers are amazing. We could not do this job without them. We couldn't. And again, you can read those stats there. It equals out, our volunteer program equals out to about 10 full-time employees, saving all city costs for all of our cities at over $300,000 a year. The reading program is on there. The food bank, again, community outreach. We're talking about the blankets that we have going right now. We have a dry room, we call it. It's where all of our blankets and everything go. There was 3 blankets on the shelf today. Now, mind you, we had probably 50 bags of laundry to do because that's a big issue at the shelter. But again, I've never seen that room down like that. And again, these blankets, we use them, we rewash them. If they get tears in them, we do throw them away. We don't want dogs to tear them up and be able to ingest any of that. So we keep a close eye on that. So the blanket program, thank you so much for doing that. We just were talking about that. Our grant program, we also offer to the cities, we have grant money for medical, for spay and neuters, for senior citizens, for low-income citizens that can come in and we can actually give them some grant money to help them for medical care, spay and neuters and things like that. Again, adoption rescue spotlighting. I'll let you guys kind of go over this. This was one of our volunteer. This man has literally chose to volunteer by driving animals. He's made so many different trips to drive animals to rescues because they can't come get the dog. He's been all the way to Arizona to a couple rescues in Arizona. So anyway, community support.
Wow.
Again, this is where you guys as a community can get involved with Animal Friends. We have Girl Scouts. We have children that have done lemonade sales and then chose that, or birthday parties, and they chose to bring in and donate their money that way. So again, I'm going to go through these again fast. These are our events and our campaigns, which are so important. We love it, and we appreciate you guys for coming out to those and supporting us in that way. And I have no idea why they put that picture of me in there. I said no. Yeah, someone's in trouble tomorrow. Someone's in trouble. Again, this is more of our, we have golf tournaments and things like that. So go through this and look and see when we have them. We should be getting our new calendar up soon. Spay Day, this is also really important. Every year we provide a Spay Day where Animal Friends of the Valley uses their nonprofit money, and we put up $25,000 this year. We've issued over 280 vouchers. This is for spay and neuters. And at this point, like I said, until the funds are gone, we'll continue to issue those. Microchip event, again, this is super. We've just talked with City Manager Ms. Daly. We've just talked about a microchip program for your city.
Cool.
To where
Thank
we
you.
can set it up and get this. This is so important. My officers carry scanners in the field, so they have them on their truck. So in the city of Canyon Lake, if we pick up a dog, it gets scanned right there where we're standing. If it has a microchip, we call the shelter, we call the people, and we try to deliver that dog before we leave your gates. That's what we try.
That's so important.
Spay and neuter clinic. Some of you have been down to see this. We're hoping for a big grand opening in January. We're setting that up right now, and we're going to have, of course, it's private invitation, so we'll have all you guys an invitation coming out. This is super important because again, we cannot stop shelter euthanasia unless we spay our way out of it. There's no other way. Employee appreciation. I should be on that one.
There you go.
On the Couch with Phil. Please go to our website and look at this. Phil is just, he's our facility manager, but he has chose to do this. I'm telling you, he's become a social media sensation. He speaks, he has a little bit of an accent, so everyone loves him. He's being recognized at Lowe's. He goes in Lowe's and they go, "Oh my God, you're Phil on the Couch." And he goes, "I'm here for nails. Leave me alone." Okay. So anyway, also Rocky Kanaka, this is a guy that he had a million, he's over 2 million followers at this time. He's paired up with us, and this guy is amazing. Look on our website and find him also. Okay? Here's our vision statement for you guys to kind of go over a little bit later. And of course, there's another picture of me. Okay. Anyway, so any questions on this portion of this? Again, I just want to make sure your city has this so that you guys can refer back to it, and that if someone's asking, hey, what do you guys, what does AFE need? Our programs and everything are on there. Okay?
Any questions so far? Good?
Okay, so what we did, and again, we put together, and well, I'll introduce, this is my Lieutenant Porter. And,
Nice to meet you, Lieutenant.
He's been with me for about a year now, so he's still wet behind the ears. We're working on him. Yeah, it's a lot to learn. He comes to us from the San Diego Police Department, so he has come into animal control. He has been an asset to my team. He is my field operations manager, my lieutenant, and he is doing an amazing job. So, thank you, Lieutenant. He put my numbers together for me today. I've never had that done either. It's amazing. For the city of Canyon Lake, I'm going to have numbers for September and October for you. Calls responded to in September, we did 72 calls inside your gates that day, or that month, and then 76 in October, equaling about 148 calls for that. These calls can range from, and we'll go through some of those in here, they can be ranged from just simple running at large, which we were just talking about, or a hit by car. We've had a couple of those, or even wild animals. We do trapping of wild animals in there. We put in about 64.5 hours for September and about 59.5 hours in your city. We normally are contracted for about 3 hours a day in your city, which we can get those 3 hours in just responding to your barking dogs. But anyway, so,
Yeah.
but anyway, so the call is, the way it works, even if we got 3 hours in your city, we're still called back to your city. So those hours can vary. If we're called out of your city for an emergency and we've got something going, we only do 2 hours, then usually we'll have a call back into your city, so we'll spend that time. So an average is about 3 hours in your city. A lot of times if a city has, 8 hours and then we look at an average and we're only getting about 6 hours, then we want to do some canvassing and stuff like that. And then we've talked about a canvassing program for your city because you have a lot of unlicensed dogs. Okay, so that, we didn't have any hearings for those 2 months at all. Those hearings would be anything from a public nuisance, which is a barking dog hearing, or it could be a potentially dangerous or a vicious dog hearing. So we didn't have any hearings in there. Licensing sold for your city, we did 109 license sales in your city in September and 65. And these are renewals or new license in your city. Mileage, we don't need to go in that. Let's do some of the stats down for vicious dog calls in your city. We had 1 in October, none in September. A vicious dog is a dog that is actively trying to bite someone or injuring someone or hurting another animal. It's a little bit different from just a running at large. A running at large is usually a dog that's just strolling around, visiting, going to your state of the city. Yeah, anyways, so welfare's in your city. Now these are the ones these are number one priority. This is where we have a welfare call. It could be an injured animal. It could be anything like that. So we had 4 of those in September and we had 3 of those in October. Again, those could vary. A lot of times we get a welfare call for just a kennel violation, which would be, your city, a couple times we've been in there for what we call a kennel violation when they have like 10 dogs in their house. And the living conditions is really, really bad. So we'll get an officer up there right away and try to get into the home and get that rectified. You allow 4 dogs in your city, that's what your codes do. So we want to try to keep it at that 4 dogs. Noise nuisances, again, these only say 1 and 1. I think LT forgot to write something down because we never do just 1 in your city. But remember, these are new calls also anything that's on the stat is a new call for that. We may have pending calls. A lot of your barking dogs, it takes 2 to 3 visits to get them solved. Sometimes they're not home. We leave door tags for them to call us, so it takes 2 or 3 times to get in there. Education is the biggest part of my officer's job. We're not in there to take their dog away because it's barking. We just want to educate them. So we actually have what we call barking dog tips that we give them out and and it also has websites on there that they can look in to solve that problem. Confined stray animals, these are the ones that people have actually taken into their home and then holding for us. So we've had a couple of those. Bites, your city goes through ebbs and flows for when it comes to bites. When you guys are around 4th of July and everybody's on the street, your bites go up. You know what I mean? Because it just happens. You're walking around with your dog gets scared or something like that and it ends up biting, or somebody pets when they're not supposed to. So that goes up. So when we're in the months of September and October, those actually drop down. So your bite, the way bites work, we have 2 calls that we have to go on. One is we have to go take a victim statement, so we go and do that. The second one is we have to go and quarantine that dog. So it takes 2 calls to actually work a bite. If the victim is not available because they've been transported, then of course we have to send the officer either to the hospital or to the home the next day and try to do that. Quarantine, state law requires that an animal that is bitten be quarantined. We can quarantine it in the home. We like to do that. We would rather the dog stay home than come to the shelter and be with us. So we try to quarantine that animal inside of its home. Has to be there for 10 days. We make 3 visits. We make the initial visit. We do the middle visit. We go and make sure that the dog's still there and that they had no changes in their personality, eating habits, anything like that. And then we go on to what's called a quarantine release. So we actually have to respond to 3, anytime there's a bite, we respond to that house 3 times. So that's how that one works. Rattlesnakes, we didn't see any in September. You guys are like rattlesnake capital every time the summer gets here. We had 2 in October, which is kind of weird for them to be out, but we did have some really warm days in October, right? So they came out. Injured animals, again, we had 2 in September. We had 2 in October. These animals are usually ones that have to be transported to a vet. So that's those new calls. Usually hit by car. Some of them, you know, we can find them there. People find them in their yard because they've crawled up in the yard after they've been hit by a car or something, and that's how we usually end up on those. Again, trapped animals, we do a lot of trapping in your city. You guys have, sometimes there's a feral cat area that we've been trapping, but most of it is for problematic wildlife. We do work with Fish and Wildlife on those. A lot of the problematic wildlife we will relocate. You know, we have certain guidelines we have to follow. Possums within a mile of where we picked them up, raccoons within 5 miles of where we picked them up. So I'm sure Canyon Hills loves us because we take a lot of raccoons. They got a wonderful area down there. But I'm sure some of these come home also. We just had a gentleman in Canyon Lake that had a raccoon and some babies living in his boat, and he had just sold his boat. So that was a day, and we had to send multiple officers to get them out because they had to be removed that day because the new boat owner didn't want any raccoons. We don't know why, but he didn't.
Wow.
So, but anyway, we can, and again, as far as impounds, like shelter impounds, you guys, for the month, we had owner turn-ins. That's always a big deal because owner turn-ins, people are bringing their own dogs down there and turn them in. The city of Canyon Lake, for owner turn-ins, September you had 3 and you had 4 in October. Okay, so for you guys as a city, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it is a whole lot when they start doing that, because on top of that, we're still taking the strays in, we're taking
Right.
in things like that. Let's see, we had owner turn in others, those are like hamsters, guinea pigs, rabbits, things like that, a couple of those. So anyway, I don't want to waste you guys' time, I have more on here, and the lieutenant gave me this beautiful binder to carry, because he said I didn't have one. So I'm going to have to buy a binder, I guess. Anyway, thank you, Lieutenant.
Awesome
So,
job.
Any questions for me?
I have a
Any-
question.
Yes, go ahead.
The ducks that are injured by the
Mhm.
lodge, do you come and
Yes.
save those ducks?
Absolutely, we do all wildlife in your city. We've been in the boat, we've had to go out and retrieve some of the fowl and stuff like that on the lake itself. But yes, and if they're not gravely injured, we do take them to Project Wildlife. We have a representative Project Wildlife that actually lives in Temecula. So normally we would have to get these to like the San Diego area, but we just take them to her residence and then she delivers them for us. So
Wow.
any of your wildlife, your birds, anything like that we pick up.
Okay, thank you.
Just not humans, right? Any other questions?
Depends on the human, right?
Yeah.
Feral.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, great job.
Thank you.
You're probably the most respected organization in the area. I'm kind of wishing we were so respected, and we're getting there one day at a time. But yeah, thank you for everything you do.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that. My officers really do work hard. They do a good job.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. All right. Any testimony by proponents? No?
It
All
appears
right.
we have none.
Testimony by opponents. Response by proponents, none. I need to close the public hearing, and it is 8:06. All right, discussion by council. Are we good? If we are good, yes, please.
On the actual agreement, I had a question about the compensation. Because I understood that it was, the new rate would be the rate through 2026? Is that right? On the document, what document is this?
Page 66.
Yeah, what is this? That's just the agreement?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so cost of living adjustment annually, so it would be another 2.5%?
Depending on the CPI each year.
Okay.
Correct.
So probably at least another
87.50.
2.5%. Okay.
Or probably
Okay.
89.
Okay. All right, so I just need clarification on that.
Which, just to be clarified, I don't think this has been addressed, 10 years?
Correct. It hasn't been addressed in 10 years. This is something that AFE is looking for all of our cities to do,
Yeah.
is consider a cost of living adjustment, again, based on the CPI. One thing that I do want to point out as well is our costs for service are determined also by our citations and our collections, and I just want to give kudos to AFE. They've been working very hard at implementing data ticket, which is something our city uses to try to ensure they're doing better at collecting fines and fees from our residents, which helps to offset our costs. So there's always room to keep looking at this. We did include some language in the agreement that wasn't in there before that allows us to look at our overall cost versus revenue, meaning how much we've paid out, as well as revenues from the people, the residents that paid license fees, come in and take services from AFE. That helps to offset our costs. So each year we could true that up, and if there's an excess, we can apply that toward microchipping or other programs for the city. So that also helps us keep track as a community of what's happening in our community, where our service time is going, and how well we're doing in terms of compliance. Because as Mo mentioned, the more people that license their pets, that's going toward reducing our cost, right? So encouraging that type of behavior, responsible pet behavior, does help reduce our overall cost to AFE.
So the two parts to this. So the true up at the end of the year that's not something that we have been doing though, right?
No.
So do we have to put something into place to start doing that?
It's been included in the new agreement.
Okay. Okay. And the second question is, since data ticket is now being used, if we all of a sudden start collecting a lot of money that we weren't collecting, is there a chance for the fees to go down?
I'm gonna look at Mo.
That might be a Mo question.
I would say, considering the cost and only going up our cost of.
Can you come up to the mic? Sorry. Just for the recording, I appreciate it, Mo.
And I'm probably not the right person for this, but considering the cost, again, only going up to 2.25, which is our cost of living, is still not a true coverage for services. We just can't come to Canyon Lake and say, you guys hadn't had a cost increase since, 14 and up. So we're trying to do that very slowly. So yes, with data ticket, we're going back about 2 years to try to collect on the monies that were owed to the Canyon, to you guys, or to the animal control contract, basically. So that's where we're at right now. Now, again, I don't have a total for that. I could, if the mayor and the council, you guys would like that, I could probably get my person that is doing that to give you guys a total of what is sitting in back there. But as far as how it will be applied, if it does get collected, which it should, I would have to probably get with Ms. Daly again and get with our accountant and look at that. So I don't have a good answer for you on that, but I could tell you we would definitely treat Canyon Lake right, if that's what it was.
And just to point out, it's section 5 E of the agreement, which is starts on 67 at the bottom of the page.
There we go. Thank you.
So,
I read it all.
and again, the idea of this true up is to make sure that we're thinking and planning for the future. And as Mo mentioned, AFE was very gracious in kind of reducing what that increase was going to be for us. Initially, we talked about some different numbers, but again, recognizing our limited budget, the fact that we've seen cost increases everywhere, they're very gracious to allow us to do this kind of stepped increase. But if there is a substantial difference, applying it to services and programs is always a good way to create a balance and plan for the future with them on services.
And I think any additional information we can get on that is going to be good. I sit on the SCFA.
Yes.
And I see the numbers, and there's a lot of other cities that are paying a lot more than we are, but they're a lot larger. So
Yes.
just want to make sure, want to pay our fair amount, but don't want to pay more than our fair amount.
Absolutely, I understand that.
That's all.
And we did include in the staff report that there's been 153 people that have been sent to collections through data ticket in Canyon Lake just since June.
Got it. Any other questions, comments? The only comment I have is I hate that it's been this long since I've met you because you gave such a great report and you did a phenomenal job. And I think if it's not too much to ask, if we could get an update like this once a year, it's very beneficial. We are all geeks up here for numbers, and it's
Right.
very fascinating to find out how many times Canyon Lakers are calling and utilizing your services and where we're at. I just want to say thank you. I know for myself, when I first moved here, my dog got out, and you guys were phenomenal. And
Thank you.
I mean, just very professional, and it was a great experience. So I can say that with experience that you guys have done a great job. So I know for me though, if you can make it a point to, even if you can't make it to the council meeting, just to submit some data to us regularly because it's very beneficial to us.
And prior to COVID, we were attending
Yep.
I think it was every second, so it's all the even months, like, February, and then, so we can do that. We can give you double stats. And
Yeah.
that's why I pulled up 2 this time, because that's what we used to do. But we can come up with a program, especially he can come up with the program. So,
Yeah.
and do that for me.
You've just been assigned, my friend.
There you go, sir. There you
So,
go.
question for you, just out of curiosity, which city has the most complaints on dog bites?
Menifee.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it just because pure population, is that usually
Pure-
it?
It's pure population, and well, Menifee is compatible to even like Marietta, Temecula. It's not that much difference up there, but it's more of a rural.
Yeah, it's rural area.
Yeah,
That
you got
makes
a much
more
more of
sense.
a rural, so that people let their
Fences
dogs
and stuff.
run and
Yeah.
dogs get out. You got a lot of farm areas up there, so Menifee's definitely the most for dog bites.
Got it.
And I mean, but we've had serious dog bites in all of our cities. I mean,
Right.
we've had a child fatality in Temecula from a dog, things like that. So they're all serious.
Yeah.
They're all serious.
Very much so. Well, thank you. If there's not any more questions from the council, I do need a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-41. And this is to approve the introduction, the first reading of Ordinance 237.
And Mary, I have to read that title into the record.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Ordinance number 237, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Canyon Lake, California, amending Chapter 10.16 of the Canyon Lake Municipal Code relating to dogs, cats, and other animals at large.
Thank you. I do need a motion.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Third? Roll call vote.
Councilmember Castillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Dane?
Aye.
Councilmember Terry? Aye. Mayor Pro Tem Welty?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. I'm going to call for a 2-minute break. It is 8:15. Use the restroom. we're gonna get this thing started. Okay, it is, I'm gonna call it back in at 8:19. We're on to business item 10. This is the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 238, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Canyon Lake, California, adopting municipal code on Cadillac converters. Mr. City Attorney, how in the world did you get assigned this one?
The city manager informed me that I had been slacking this year and
Okay.
not brought sufficient number of ordinances to the city council for consideration.
This isn't Sacramento, Mr. City Attorney.
So over the course of one afternoon, I wrote 3 ordinances, which we will talk about today.
Joy.
The first one is the ordinance relating to catalytic converters, as you mentioned. This is actually was submitted to us by the county. So the County of Riverside has adopted an ordinance that is substantially the same in form and content that essentially prohibits the possession of a catalytic converter that's not attached to a vehicle without proof, documentary proof that you own that catalytic converter. This is seen as being at least one way to sort of address what the county has described as a significant issue of catalytic converter thefts across the county, including in the city of Canyon Lake. Trucks and SUVs are uniquely susceptible to catalytic converter theft. They are easier to get under, and they tend to have larger converters, which have more of the precious metals in them. I don't know what all of these specific metals are. I know platinum. I know that one's expensive. I don't know what palladium is.
Can you please, Mr. City Attorney, can you tell us about your Cadillac converter?
My Cadillac. So I don't have one.
Why is that?
Because I drive an electric.
Oh, okay, got it.
So okay, cards on the table. I don't know what a catalytic converter does.
Okay, that's why I'm over
I'm
here.
sure it converts catalytics.
I had to.
But from what to what? I don't know. It's part of the exhaust system.
You're good.
I know it's part of the exhaust system.
Yes,
I think
you're
it
good.
reduces pollutants.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're valuable. People steal them.
Yes, they do.
They're easy to steal. I actually saw one being stolen in the Target parking lot.
I
over in
believe it.
Menifee. I was like, that gentleman's working on his car. And then I saw it, and I was like, he's not working on his car. So there's also a lack of identification on them. Some cities and agencies have done catalytic converter etching as another way to address this, where you can get identifying information, I think etched with acid on your catalytic converter. There's a pretty thriving resale market. I don't know where.
Thank you,
one
Mike,
would
for
go.
turning on the air. Jennifer Dane was really hot. Mr. City Attorney.
First time for everything. I don't know if the captain has anything to add to this, but essentially what was asked of all the cities throughout the county, so Canyon Lake, other cities are going to be adopting these ordinances. So we have sort of a uniform enforcement structure, should help the law enforcement partners around the county. If they come up with somebody, they see a catalytic converter that's not attached to a vehicle, they would have probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed if we can get these adopted throughout the entire county.
So as we joke and kid with the city attorney, this is a real thing. This is a big deal in regards to what a lot of realtors will do is they'll leave a box truck next to their office in a parking lot, and the incentive is hey, list with me or buy with me. You can use my move-in truck for free. I think it literally rhymes like that. And these Cadillac converters have been stolen substantially from that type of scenario. Penske trucks, U-Haul trucks, motorhomes especially. The bigger the converter, the more money you can make. So it is a real thing. So good job doing your homework. You probably Googled it right before this to make sure you knew what it was.
I have a little chat GPT too.
Yeah, you did pretty good, man. I got to hand it to you.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions to the city attorney on this?
I do.
Please.
If the county just adopted this ordinance, why do we need a different one?
That's a fantastic question. So the counties, essentially the county, their version of the municipal code, they call it their code of ordinances, is generally applicable only to unincorporated areas of the county. So, if we want that law to be applicable inside the incorporated boundaries of the city of Canyon Lake, the city council has to adopt it as well. And like I said, the goal is for all the cities to adopt essentially the same language, so that all the law enforcement partners across the county are operating off the same playbook.
So Councilwoman Dane, tonight's your chance to be the one city that doesn't do it. If you want to kick it off, I'll go with you. Any other questions to the city attorney? No? Nothing. Wow, I'm getting off easy.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any public comments on this?
We do not.
Okay. I need a motion. And no, you can't. Sorry, public. You got to fill out a card and all this other stuff. I apologize. I can't. I do need a motion, and I do need a second on this. I want to, but I can't.
Motion.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
I need a roll call vote.
And you know I have to read the title into
Please
the
do.
record. Ordinance number 238, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Canyon Lake, California, adding Chapter 11.13 to the Canyon Lake Municipal Code related to catalytic converters.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Castillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Dane.
Aye.
Councilmember Terry.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Welty.
Aye.
Mayor Smith.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
To the one member in the public, I do wish I could go back and forth on items listed on the agenda, but unfortunately we can't. Moving on, number 11, introduction, the first reading of ordinance number 239, an ordinance of the City of Canyon Lake, California, amending the Title 12 related to fire lanes. Oh, wow, this is you as well.
Like I said, the city manager made it clear that I needed to earn my keep around here. So we were on the second ordinance of the evening that I drafted. This relates to an amendment to our municipal code related to fire lanes.
Okay.
We do currently have language in the municipal code, is actually part of the original adoption of the municipal code back when the city was first formed, that authorizes the city manager to designate red painted curbs, I think is the exact language that it uses, something similar to that. We're looking to update that and to bring harmony between the municipal code, the fire code, and the vehicle code. And that means designating the fire chief as the city official responsible for designating fire lanes. Now, you may not realize it when you think about this. You think fire lanes, you probably think they're public roads only. But actually, fire chief has the authority to designate fire lanes on both public and private property.
Through this ordinance?
Through this ordinance and through the fire code, which is already adopted, and through the vehicle code. So we are bringing harmony to all three of those things into our single ordinance here to make it clear that the fire chief is the city official who has the authority to designate fire lanes.
Chief, can you please come here for a second? You probably already know where I'm going to go with this one, but it's your birthday. Chief, you and I were part of a conversation in the grand opening of the pump track, and we had conversations at either a coffee with the mayor or something about why weren't we, the city, informed about looking at fire lanes pertaining to that particular park. And I think it was, at that time, CAL FIRE was in the gig. I could be wrong. If we would have had this during that conversation, would that allow you to have designated an area for a red curb?
Initially, it would be preferred that the fire department review all those plans, and those plans were never reviewed by the fire department because it wasn't a structure and they felt it didn't really apply. But when you have access, you need to have turnaround. And so we would prefer for that to be a red zone. The reality of it is with this new ordinance, we can go back retroactively and designate that area a fire lane if we need to have that as a fire lane. So that's why I brought this together. Was when I first got here, talking to Ruby and code enforcement, they told us we had no ability to enforce any red curb violations. And there's a lot of red curb violations out there. And so working with the city attorney, working with code enforcement, we're here presenting this tonight so we can, the first thing we need to do is work with the POA, work with the Property Owners Association, the Merchants Association, and formally identify and document what the fire lanes are. And the city attorney told me, in theory, we should document that in front of every fire hydrant is also a fire lane. It's not just a red painted curb. And that way this code would be enforceable with that.
To this day, is there a fire lane at that pump track? I mean, at the pump?
There is not, no.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt, city attorney. Is there anything else to report on it?
No, I mean, the important thing to remember is that the purpose of fire lanes is public safety. They are to be designated where the entry or use of a fire apparatus or an emergency medical or rescue apparatus would be obstructed or it'd be rendered unduly difficult. So the purpose of this is not to paint the curbs red.
Yeah, everywhere we go.
And to make it impossible to find parking in the city. The purpose of this is, if we're having a fire, if we're having a medical emergency, the fire department needs to be able to access those locations throughout the city. They need to be able to do so safely and efficiently. And so that is going to require the designation of fire lanes in our city, just like every other city in the United States of America.
Chief, since you're up there, I know you've had now a couple years, servicing Canyon Lake, and with your experience, do you feel that as of right now we're lacking substantially when it comes to fire lanes inside the gates?
I don't think we're lacking substantially, but what we're lacking is enforcement.
Okay. Go ahead.
As a private citizen, can I go out and take red paint and put it in front of my curb and all of a sudden it becomes a fire lane?
No, you can't.
Oh, I can't. How about
As the city attorney said, the fire chief is the one that designates the fire lanes.
Merchants Association can't paint, POA necessarily can't paint. It's really your call. What's a fire lane?
That's correct, and that's why we want to go out there, work with them, identify them, and document them.
Well, I'm going to Lowe's tomorrow with my can and see if I can get my money back.
Well, you also need white paint because part of the requirement is it says no parking fire lane.
Does this ordinance prohibit that example?
So I'm actually going to be giving a presentation in a couple of weeks on what is called guerrilla traffic control. So this is an emerging trend of private individuals who are going out and painting their own crosswalks, painting fire lanes, filling potholes. I think that the initiative behind that is admirable, but I think that when you're talking about designating fire lanes, when you're talking about crosswalks, when you're talking about filling potholes, if you don't do it correctly, it actually can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And make it worse. So I would say that if there are enterprising private individuals who are tired of someone parking in front of their house or something like that, and they decide to paint their curb red, they'll probably be getting a visit from the fire chief or another or his designee, because to paint your curb red in violation of this chapter would actually be a violation of the law as well.
And right now it wouldn't be.
Right now, it's certainly less clear how we would enforce that.
Do you need to go home real quick?
No, I haven't opened the can yet. That
Okay.
was my tomorrow project.
Feel free to donate the can to the fire department.
Not to just keep beating this thing to death, but do we have any documentation right now of existing fire lanes?
I've been working with one of our condo complexes to repaint their fire lanes. I've met out there several times with the management of that condo complex, and we have a map where we have identified the fire lanes, and that's part of their electronic building file now.
Very cool. Okay.
And I would just say, Mayor, this is something that shouldn't necessarily be divisive. It can be something that brings the community
Yeah.
together. As you know, I also live in a large master plan community, HOA, and the HOA actually went through the process of purchasing all the signs. So the HOA's logo is on there, but it has all the language that the fire chief would need. So it can be something that the community can come together on for public safety purposes.
Any other questions or concerns about fire lanes? Everyone good? Okay, I do need, is there any public comment?
There's not.
Okay, we're good then. I do need a motion and a second.
Motion.
I'll second it. Well, can you read it in?
I would love to.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 239, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Canyon Lake, California, amending Title 12 related to fire lanes.
Perfect. I need a roll call vote.
Councilmember Castillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Dane?
Aye.
Councilmember Terry? Mayor Pro Tem Walty?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you so much. Last item of the night, this is business item 12. This is the introduction and the first reading of ordinance number 240, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Canyon Lake, California, adding chapter 11.12 to the Canyon Lake Municipal Code related to weed abatement. And this is the most that you've ever spoken. Mr. City Attorney, you're up again.
I can do this all night. So this one is another one where we are attempting to clarify, the process for a matter of public safety. So here we are talking about weed abatement. There is a process, it's called an alternative process in the government code. However, most agencies want to have their own specific ordinance that goes through exactly how that city is going to implement it so that it is very clear what the fire department and other city departments' obligations are, how they're going to give notice to the members of the community that they have property that requires weed abatement, and if they don't comply, the city will go out there with its own forces or with a contractor to remove the weeds, and what the process is for ensuring that the cost of that removal is not borne by the taxpayer, but is borne by the property owner whose property was served. So that's what we did. This has been a process that I've done in many of the jurisdictions that I've served. The fire chief had a lot of experience with this as well and brought that experience to bear. We had a good conversation. We threw in some work for the city clerk as well, just to make sure that she didn't feel left out in this process. So essentially the process that we have in front of us here is first off a general duty of property owners to make sure that they don't have weeds or other combustible materials or flammable vegetation on their property. We have is it a wildland fire interface? Am I using that phrase correctly? I'm gonna get the chief up here. That's what you get for leaving.
That's what you get for your birthday.
The state's terminology is a very high fire hazard severity zone.
Very high fire hazard severity zone, because we do interface with the BLM land. We have several vacant lots throughout the city, and I think while obviously the fire department has a significant number of day-to-day duties, a significant amount of resources and planning have also been devoted to preventing a large wildfire from entering the city, and even a small one on one of these lots could be relatively severe. So keeping those weeds down, keeping the flammable vegetation under control is critical. We do have some exemptions, so had to put one in there for habitat conservation, land owned by the federal government, of which there is a substantial amount within the city boundaries, and then land designated by the city as a wildlife corridor. Once a year or more, but generally once a year, the fire department is going to go out, identify those parcels that need to be abated. Notice will be sent to those owners by U.S. mail and give them a deadline. If they don't comply by the deadline, a hearing will be brought forward to the city council where all of those property owners are going to be notified that the city is going to come out and remove the weeds or flammable vegetation. We have the possibility for it being done by the city forces. Much more likely it'll be done by contractors that the city hires. They will go out there.
The actual weed abatement process?
The actual weed abatement process.
Okay.
In theory, the chief could call it training, and we could get
Controlled burnings, chief?
Don't test it. The chief could call it training, and our fire department or any other staff could go out there and remove the weeds. But like I said, much more likely it's going to be contractors that we put out to bid, and we get them to do all the city in one go. It'll be much more efficient that way, and probably keep the costs under control. Once that has been done, we will send a bill to all those property owners. They will have an opportunity to pay what the city's costs were, which will include the cost of the contractor, a administrative fee, a little bit of overhead, and then any collection fees that the city has. If they don't pay, we'll come back to the city council. We'll have another hearing where you'll get a whole list of properties that didn't pay the bill, and it'll be placed on their property tax bill for the following fiscal year and collected. That's the process that most agencies follow. It does require a couple of hearings. Generally speaking, that last hearing has to be by August 8th or so, plus or minus. So you can expect that hearing to actually probably be in July for the city, since August is usually off, I believe. So you'll see that in July, which means that this process, I think, gets started in about April or May is when the first notices go out. So you'll have it over the course of a couple of meetings. My recommendation to the owners of property in the city is to do like I've done. And when you get that letter from the fire department, get your weed eater out, get out there and take care of it yourself. That way you won't be getting a visit from the fire department, and you won't be getting the bills.
A couple questions. Is fire going to be in charge of this, chief, or is code going to be in charge of this?
This will be managed under the fire department. Really what we're doing with this is we're taking an existing municipal code section, dissecting it and doing weed abatement as one, and there'll still be a nuisance abatement program that code enforcement will manage.
As you know, Chief, August is the hottest approaching time, and is that the time, do you agree with the timing that we're setting up to have a hearing in July to then make a decision to get a hold of people in August when I believe it's the fire season?
I believe it is, because really when this starts, it's typically after the rainy season. So the growth has occurred, it hasn't died yet, and so we're trying to get it before it becomes a fire hazard. We're in October right now, November, and this is where we're getting our Santa Ana winds. So hopefully we'll have everything abated before we get into true fire weather. Wildland fires is all your sport now, but the thought process is trying to get it right after the rainy season. And it's something similar to the POA does as well, so we'll be working in conjunction with the POA on these lots.
When you think of this ordinance, do you think of empty lots, or do you think of weeds in the backyard, or do you think of both?
This typically is designed for those empty lots. The nuisance abatement program that's going to be coming forward soon will address those other issues.
So do you believe that, considering we only have 189 empty lots left in Canyon Lake, that once a year is enough time to address it?
I believe annually will be enough time to address it, yes.
Perfect. Go ahead.
My question is the cooperation with the POA. They have, like you say, a similar program. I don't necessarily want to see a lot of duplication. In other words, they get a letter from you and then the POA. I just want to make sure that the two of you are communicating. I know at some point the POA is not, the owners don't respond. And at that point, the city can probably get a better response.
We have not had those conversations yet. We wanted to get it on the books first, but we will be having those conversations so that it's a coordinated effort.
Ruby, do you remember your conversation with the POA? Sorry to call you out, because I know that you and I have already had this conversation. I'm just curious if you remember what they said, because I believe they don't issue actual notices until June, if I remember right.
They begin around March.
Okay.
But they don't enforce
That's what it was.
until June.
Okay, that was our issue.
Correct.
Because the enforcement problem. So if we're giving notice in when, Chief?
I believe we were going to start the process in about April.
Okay, so we're giving notice in April.
Correct.
Same time that the POA essentially would be giving notice.
Very close.
And they don't begin enforcing until June. And we don't take forcible action until July.
Correct.
So, Mayor, correction, the hearing in July would be the hearing on the assessments. So by that
So it's
point,
already
everything's already abated.
Okay.
Yeah, so our timeline's actually gonna be very similar to the POA, and that is primarily because of, when you're talking about the rainy season, when you're talking about the growth, when we're talking about the dry season coming up, they all just coincide that way.
So, again, I don't want to beat the weed on this thing, but do we know how much it would cost us to contract out to have the weeds cleared on a piece of land?
A single
lot?
piece of land?
Yeah.
Well, I think that, one of the things we will do is we will go out to bid to get that number. You have had inflationary factors that have come into play. I can tell you that on typical single-family lots that I've seen in other communities, so we're talking 10 to 15,000 square feet, I've seen it range from $150 up to $400.
That's it?
That's what I've seen.
So I live in Arizona, and I got a lot here. I'm paying the $150 to have someone do the work for me.
I mean, you could look at this as a service if you want.
I mean, that's my point, right? I mean, that's the conversation, because at that point, I finally have an entity that's willing to do it for me, and I don't have to reach out to my guy, if he's available, to do the weed issues for me, because he's paying that landlord, or that owner of that property is paying that anyways.
Well, I think like I said, we can go out to bid, we should get the numbers before we start the program, and so that way, when we're doing the initial notices, we can let people know what the anticipated costs are. That might help them make that decision.
Where I worked previously, we had gone out, we would identify several vendors, and we would put those vendors on the notice that went out to the resident, and they could return that back in, check the box, have that person do it, and we handle everything, and there's no administrative charge for that. If they don't do it, if they don't respond, that's when we go out there and abate the property for them and come back to the council on that second hearing to seek reimbursement for that through the taxes.
Another thing to mention too is that if you do the RFQ is what you would do, right? We could get some on-call vendors, as the chief has mentioned. This would be a prevailing wage contract, so the costs will be much higher than they would have to pay hiring someone on their own, or as the chief mentioned, if they went direct to maybe one of the vendors that are on our on-call list. In addition, we add the administrative fee, we can add penalties, we can add dumping fees. The intent shouldn't be, in my opinion, for people to want to have us do it. It would be more beneficial for them to do it themselves, and in my experience, typically the city fees are much higher than somebody would pay on their own. It's really to encourage people to do it on their own on a timely basis.
I hate to beat the POA horse a little bit, but they don't have to pay prevailing wage, and so if the POA is to do it, it would be much cheaper for the owners. I'd like to see them whoever the POA does, have them on our list, because the worst thing is when the POA schedules them for Monday morning, and we've scheduled our guys to go out on Monday afternoon. Now we got two bills for the same property. I'd like to avoid that.
Is operations currently doing weed abatement on empty lots right now?
I think their maintenance contractor does that. I think they just go to the people who maintains the common area and then let them to do, they're here with the equipment, they're in the community all the time. So it's relatively simple for them to run down and do some weed abatement versus pulling somebody from outside the city. But the POA does have that, process where they just send people out to have it done. I'm concerned with we looked at the one residence, I think, Chief, we talked about where the weeds had been up. It actually had a home on it, and the backyard had 6 feet, 8 feet of weeds, and it was definitely a fire hazard. Those are really something I think the POAs will struggle with because the owners actually occupy the property.
So just for clarification to make sure, so if there's a property, there's a house on the property and there's weeds in the backyard, that actually would be nuisance abatement ordinance through code enforcement, which our existing ordinance would be able to address as long as you can see them or someone's complained about them from their backyard. That would be under code enforcement. The weed abatement side will be more of the vacant parcels or larger lots, some of which the POA doesn't actually enforce against. But I just want to ask Ruby, can you clarify on the clearing? Does the POA come out and actually clear them?
So from my conversation with them, they contract somebody out to come in around June to clear the vacant lots.
And then they just obviously bill the homeowner, I would assume.
Correct.
That, and Mayor Pro Tem, I understand where you're coming from, but correct me if I'm wrong, City Attorney, but we can never contract with the POA because they can't do prevailing wages.
So we can certainly look at contracting with the vendor that they've selected if that vendor is willing to follow the requirements of prevailing wage. I mean, they're not onerous.
Right.
It's some forms you have to fill out, and you have to pay a different rate, and you have to do a certification of your payroll to the city if we ask for it. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So we can definitely look at the different options, and I think making sure that we discuss it with the POA is a good idea. I don't know what their collection method is.
Yeah.
Our collection method is relatively safe and secure. Like, it goes on the property tax roll.
Ours is real.
So we have a pretty high collection rate.
Right.
But theirs may be relatively secure as well. So we could talk about it. It may be more efficient for us to do it. It may be more efficient for them to do it. I think as long as the lots are being abated, I think that will serve our interest. And then just to follow up on the city manager's comments, occupied lots, the intent is certainly for those to utilize the definition of nuisance within the code. However, this ordinance can also be used, if necessary, to do weed abatement on an occupied lot. I would just have to get the fire chief an abatement warrant in addition to the use of this ordinance, which isn't complicated. We'd have to do the same thing if we went in on the code enforcement side. But we would have that ability if we thought, for whatever reason, that was the better way to go. But generally speaking, it's going to be a code enforcement matter.
Madam City Manager, did you have something? You good?
No, I think that was great. Thank you, Steve.
Any other comments on this? Any other questions? Appreciate you both. Any public comments?
No.
Okie dokie. I do need a motion and a second if we want to move forward with this.
Motion.
Second.
Need a roll call vote. Obviously, the gummy bears had no sugar in them tonight. We're all exhausted up here.
Councilmember Castillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Dane.
Aye.
Councilmember Terry. Mayor Pro Tem Welty.
Aye.
Mayor Smith.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
All right, city manager comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a time change that made us all tired. I think we're all still adjusting to
Yes,
that.
that's so
Yes,
true.
Yes. So it's really 9:48.
Thank you. That helps me now. That's true. That's been my issue the last couple days.
Okay, I just wanted to first take a moment and thank Stephen for all his hard work on his homework assignment with all these municipal codes.
Good job,
You did a
Stephen.
great job. We
Appreciate you.
appreciate it. And to the other staff, everybody's been doing a lot of work. And I know the State of the City came up multiple times, but I just want to thank staff again for all of their hard work. Mike and Maddie really took the lead, but it was a group effort, and I was very proud of the team. I was proud of the council. I was proud to be a part of this team and to showcase what Canyon Lake is and who we are and what makes us special. And there were so many people that came that have never even been in the gates. So just a really good experience for me being new to the team, and I just wanted to recognize our team for their efforts there. Also, talking about our team, we have a new team member. Jessica Sanchez started on October 26th, the day of our State of the City. So I've asked her to come up. I surprised her tonight and said she has to come up and introduce herself, but I just want to make sure we introduced her. She is our new management analyst, and I'll let her say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I am very happy to be here. I've been a resident of this region for 29 years. My kids went through LEUSD. My kids went to Canyon Lake Middle School, TC, Temescal High School, so I have affinity for this community as well. I'm happy to serve. I'm a past WRCOG fellow. That's where I met Miss Daly here. And I just wanted to let you know I am grateful for this opportunity, and I will work very hard for you and serve this community with pride and joy. So thank you.
Thank you.
And it's awesome because her very first day, she joined us at like 7:45 in the morning for the round table with Mayor Pro Tem Welty and myself, and introduced herself. And everyone, wait a minute, your first day is the day of the State of the City? Really? So thank you for all your hard work. You were awesome, and we appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm
So
excited
congratulations.
to be here. Thank you.
Welcome to the team. Any other comments?
You were supposed to make her sing our fight song or something.
Oh, yeah, I'm feeling, we talked about it. She's like, oh, we're going to make her do it. I'm like, I'm not.
What do they call it? Our team song?
Yeah.
I know something.
Our theme song?
Obvious. I always
Our
mess
cheer?
with those things, yeah.
Yeah, I was not a cheerleader. I can ring a cowbell a little.
Yes.
No, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Perfect. Okay, announcement. The next regular city council meeting will be held Wednesday, December 13th. And then I want to adjourn the meeting, it's obvious, in honor of our veterans. So please, if those of you are listening, join us on Saturday. We are really excited to honor our veterans. And thank you. Have a good night. Perfect.
We do need a fight song.
We do need a fight song.